In the Gospels, the revelation of God comes to the poor and the humble. And in this story, to a woman with a dubious past, one who belonged to a despised race. The theme of today's Gospel from John is the water of life. In Judaism, the scriptures were seen as a cleansing, life-giving stream of water, and John's Gospel takes this idea and develops it further in the episode of the Samaritan woman by Jacob's well. Jesus is the true water of life, and he satisfies our thirst completely. It is midday by Jacob's well in Sychar, a Samaritan town, and Jesus is all by himself, his disciples having gone on to the town to buy food. A woman comes to the well to draw water, and Jesus asks her for a drink. A most interesting conversation now ensues, which moves at two levels. The woman fends off Jesus' request for water at one level, and Jesus speaks of the water which he alone can give, the Spirit which quenches all our desires and fulfills them forever. John often uses this technique, feeding in a spiritual dimension into a mundane conversation. What the woman wants is a supply of ordinary water so that she wouldn't need to come to the well every day. What the woman needs is the satisfaction of her deeper longings, which only comes through the gift of living water, the Spirit which Jesus pours upon all believers. The risen Lord, said Paul, is a life-giving Spirit. Step by step, Jesus leads this ordinary peasant woman to a recognition of who he really is and to an act of faith. The woman realizes now that this is no ordinary man talking to her. Perhaps he is a prophet. And so she indicates the neighboring hill, Gerizim, where the Samaritans had built a shrine which rivaled the temple in Jerusalem. Jesus dismisses the religious rivalry between Jew and Samaritan. God is spirit, he says, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. These two words connote a single idea, for in John's Gospel, truth stands for God's revelation itself. It is no wonder that Jesus concludes the conversation by revealing himself to her. I, who speak to you now, am he, the Messiah. Once again, as so often in the Gospels, the revelation of God comes to the poor and humble, and in this story, to a woman with a dubious past and one who belonged to a despised race. But not only is she privileged to receive this revelation of Jesus' mission, she also turns out to be the first apostle. Come and meet the man who has told me everything I ever did. Could he be the Messiah? Her townsfolk came and saw and pressed Jesus to remain with them for some days. And many more came, and many more became believers because of what they had heard from his own lips.